I remember thinking, how am I going to tell my children? I didn't want to scare them. I didn't want to lie to them.
Today we're talking to people who have a parenting dilemma. Now, when Nancy Davis was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 14 years ago, the doctor told her that her life was over. She knew she had to get better for her 3 young sons. Take a look.
14 years ago, I was given a diagnosis that I would never walk again. I have a disease called multiple sclerosis. It terrified me because I had 3 young kids. I loved nothing more in this world than being their mom. I remember thinking, how am I going to tell my children that I have multiple sclerosis? I didn't want to scare them. I didn't want to lie to them. I called a child psychiatrist. He said, you have to figure out how old your child is and what's appropriate. I think that they understood it on their terms, and as years went by, I could tell them more. We have an event every year called the Race to Erase MS.
We celebrate being 1 year closer to finding the cure for multiple sclerosis.
Now we're going to have our 14th annual Race to Erase MS. My children have really grasped the importance of charity.
What she does for the people suffering from multiple sclerosis on a daily basis sends chills down my spine. What people forget is that she is a sufferer herself.
Tommy Hilfiger has been my greatest partner in history. He also has a sister with MS. Tommy's always listening to me give out medical advice, and Tommy said, Nancy, would you please write a book already? It became so apparent to me that nobody knows what to do when a disease hits you. I thought about it and I started writing a book. Lean on Me is not about MS, it's about any disease. It's not about being a doctor. This book will empower everybody to know what to do. You don't pick a disease, it picks you. We came up with something called the Very Necessary Medical ID card that says, in case of emergency, please call so-and-so. If you are in an emergency situation, or your children are, it will tell the basics. I think that in every high school and in every college, they should teach children about health care. I didn't want to get MS, but my life today is a miracle. God bless me. I am able to be a mom again. I was fortunate enough to give birth to my 2 little miracle girls.
Come here.
I've been able to see my children grow up. I love my husband, my family. We all have our life. It's the most precious gift that we have. There is no greater thing that exists in the world than when you know you have helped just one person.
Now, talk to me about Lean on Me. And I want to tell you, all of you at home, I've read this cover to cover. I like things that are action-oriented, and they tell people what to do. And that's very much what Lean on Me is all about. Tell me why you sat down and did this.
I had to. When I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 14 years ago, I was told, go home, go to bed, your life as you know it is over. You will be able to operate the remote control on your TV set, and that's as much as you can look forward to. I was lucky that I had the power to go get second opinions. They all did confirm I had MS, but the prognoses were so different. Only 24% of people ever bother getting this thing called a second opinion. Some people are terrified to insult their doctors.
And one of the things that I always try to get across to patients is you've got to become active in your care. And you talk about that chapter and verse and give the steps that are necessary. What do you think is the most important message for people that are faced with a disease in terms of becoming empowered and getting involved in their treatment?
You have to not crawl under the covers and feel sorry for yourself. People who feel sorry for themselves and have nothing else to do get sicker. People who are really busy, really active, really proactive do better in light of the worst illnesses.
And by the way, and I want everybody to know this, there is a different physiology with different mindsets. If you have a defeatist attitude, if you have a victim mentality like it's just over for me, your physiology changes versus if you say, no, I'm going to work the problem, I'm going to fight this thing. How have your children handled this?
When my children were young, when I was diagnosed, it was really important to tell them the truth and not lie to them. You have to be honest on their level, finding out how old they are, how much can they understand. If you make your kids more hysterical, your life's going to be worse. It's going to be tougher. You're setting more difficult parameters to deal with. My children now understand my disease. They now help me, and they feel good about themselves.
And you didn't just take this on of fixing your problem. You wanted to fix it for a lot of people. How much money have y'all raised for MS research?
We've raised about $28 million.
Yeah. That makes a huge difference in what can be studied, what can be done. It's a huge difference.
When I was diagnosed and getting all these second opinions, I went from doctor to doctor in great hospitals. They were all doing identical research, but knew they were the only one doing it. I thought by putting these brilliant doctors all together to work as a team, not spending any money on mortar and bricks, to put it into basic science and never have these doctors duplicate each other's research, but to constantly communicate, we would find a cure quicker. And the whole landscape for the person being diagnosed with MS today has completely changed.
Tell us about this, my very necessary ID card.
I bet everybody has in their wallets a driver's license, a credit card, but a lot of people, and most people, do not have something that says, in case of an emergency, contact this person. I'm on these medicines. I'm allergic to these medicines. I've had these surgeries. Here's my blood type, and I wish to be an organ donor. When your kids go to school, they need to have this in their backpack on them at all times. And also with this, you can go online, no matter where you are, and get a complete printout of every x-ray. They will store every single medical record you've ever had.
Patients don't realize how much doctors have to rely on patient self-report. So this is really, really important.
98,000 people die in American hospitals every year from preventable medical mistakes.
98,000 a year, and over 400,000 are injured because of information that you don't have. So when you go to the doc, it could get ugly if they don't have the right info. Well, I want to say everybody in the audience today will go home with a copy of Nancy Davis' book, Lean on Me. And my very necessary medical ID card as well. All of you will have one of these to fill out. Now, for more information about where you can get a medical ID card yourself, go to www.verynecessaryid.com and we'll have the information there. For more information about Nancy's book, Lean on Me, go to drphil.com because we're going to have the book on there, a link where you can get it. We're going to have excerpts from the book. And I'm telling you, I've read this. It is top-notch. It is action-oriented. And kids need to read this early on, particularly when they're going off to college as well as moms and dads. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, coming up, they've got 7-year-old triplets fighting to be the best. We'll talk about that when we come back.